Hey COMM 360 friends, I'm Michael and this is my project on my social media terms. So when brainstorming for how I was going to do this project and what platforms I can use to record myself on, I was going through the list and I figured what better way to record myself for a social media project than by using social media, so I picked Snapchat. So they say the camera adds 10 pounds, but I actually think the front-facing camera of an iPhone adds even more than that, and on top of that it makes me look uglier than I actually am. But for the purposes of this project, I'm going to make some exceptions about how I feel on the camera, and I'm recording this whole project on my Snapchat story. Plus, by using Snapchat, it allows us to use these really funny filters that make me even uglier, so we could have some fun with this project. So some quick background on my terms. I got all of my terms from the socialbright.org link we had in Canvas from their social media glossary. There's some good terms in there. And all of my terms are going to be Snapchat themed and how Snapchat uses them or how they're related to Snapchat. So our first term from the Social Bright website is going to be an open platform. Social Bright defines an open platform as software systems permit any device or application to connect to and operate on its network.
For the most part, Snapchat would probably qualify as an open platform.
There's no device restrictions. You can use an iPhone, an Android, an iPad, etc., and anyone can download it. The only technicality, I guess, for lack of a better term, to that rule would be that in order to use Snapchat, you can only use it through their app. So that wraps up open platform, which brings us to our next term, known as life casting. Social Bright defines life casting as an around-the-clock broadcast of events in a person's life through digital media. Typically, life casting is transmitted over the internet and can involve wearable technology, which I'm assuming is like Google Glass or the new Snap goggles that just came out.
I personally think Snapchat wrote the book on life casting, but you're starting to see a lot more of it with Periscope from Twitter and Facebook Live.
I would probably go as far to say that life casting wouldn't be as big as it is today without the evolution of the Snapchat story, and that's why Facebook Live got big, because of Snapchat. So our next term is microblogging, and Social Bright defines microblogging as the act of broadcasting short messages to other subscribers of a web service. Obviously, Twitter is the king of microblogging with 140 characters or less, but Snapchat's kind of a microblog as well, because you really only get 10 seconds to get. See that? I was just microblogged. But Snapchat's a good example of microblogging because you really only get 10 seconds to look at a picture or post a story video. Our last term is called a newsreader. Newsreaders gather the news from multiple blogs or news sites via RSS feeds selected by the user and allow us to access the news from the single site or program. Snapchat utilizes their own newsreader called Discover, and I'm going to post some examples of Discover in the following few pictures. So I personally love the newsreader because without going too far, you could send selfies to your friends and videos to your friends while being one click away from all the top stories of the day. And I think that keeps us more informed as millennials, and that's important. So let's do a review of our terms. So number one is an open platform, which is basically software that anyone can use, like how anyone can download Snapchat. Number two is life casting, which is basically broadcasting your life on social media, which is what we're doing on Snapchat. Number three is microblogging, which is basically blogging but in a shorter amount of time, like 10 seconds or less on Snapchat. And number four is a newsreader, which gathers news from other sites and puts it on its platform, kind of like Snapchat's Discover feature. So those are my four terms and how they're related to Snapchat, but I actually have one bonus term for you guys that isn't related to Snapchat, and that's net neutrality. Net neutrality is the principle requiring internet providers to act as common carriers and not discriminate among content or users. So the counter to net neutrality would be the equivalent of Comcast charging a successful bar more money to use their service. Net neutrality has been in the news a lot lately because of this man, Ajit Pai, the head of the FCC. So under the Obama administration, great strides were made to ensure net neutrality was in place and consumers weren't taken advantage of. Unfortunately, under the Trump administration, Ajit Pai, who is a major opponent of net neutrality, plans to abolish the practice altogether. So basically, net neutrality might cease to exist as we know it, and for me, that's not a good thing, but you can decide. So that's it for my terms, guys. I hope everyone enjoyed my Snapchat concept, even though it starts and stops every 10 seconds, and I hope you learned a lot. I should probably get going now. Looks like I'm running late to class.